In Huichapa, no one sleeps peacefully when the lights appear in the sky. Here, in this small town in the mountains of Mexico, the nights are filled with whispers and closed doors. Fear takes the form of balls of fire that cross the air, figures that move in the shadows, and screams that chill the blood. They call them witches, and they are not just stories to scare children. They are real, or at least that's what generations of inhabitants believe, who have learned to respect and fear what they cannot explain. In Huichapa, when the sun sets, the world of the human gives way to the supernatural. The phenomenon of the Witches of Huichapa is as old as the town itself. According to tradition, these witches have the ability to detach from their skin and transform into spheres of light that cross the sky, known as evil lights. The elderly claim that the lights are not stars or meteors, but beings that wander in search of victims, especially children. Although these stories may seem like superstitions to outsiders, for the locals they are an undeniable reality, reinforced by decades of inexplicable encounters. One of the most well-known cases occurred in 1992 when a group of farmers, while returning from working in the fields, claimed to have seen a bright red light descending on a clearing in the forest. It was not a normal light, recalls Don Miguel, one of the witnesses. It moved from one side to the other, and suddenly it took human form. It had a black cloak and eyes that glowed like embers. We were paralyzed until it screamed and vanished into thin air. Since then, the clearing is avoided even during the day, and it is said that the animals that pass through there act erratically, as if they perceive something that humans cannot see. Although the lights are the most well-known phenomenon, the stories of direct encounters with the witches are even more chilling. In 2015, a family woke up in the middle of the night to the sound of noises in their yard. Upon leaving, they found a sphere of light floating above their chicken coop. The light vanished as quickly as it appeared, but the next morning all the chickens were dead, with marks on their necks. This pattern is repeated in other testimonies, which has led the inhabitants to protect their homes with wooden crosses, garlic, and branches of pirul, elements that are believed to repel witches. The relationship between the inhabitants and the witches is full of contradictions. On the one hand, there is fear and rejection. On the other, a strange respect towards these figures who, they say, also have the power to heal or help if they are treated with care. Here we all know who they are, says Teresa, a woman who has lived her entire life in Huichapa. There are ladies who don't age, who are always alone and know things that no one else knows. But no one confronts them because a witch can ruin your life if she sets her mind to it. Cases of unexplained disappearances also fuel the mystery. Between 1985 and 2005, at least 15 children disappeared without a trace in the vicinity of Huichapa. Although authorities attributed the cases to kidnappings or accidents, the inhabitants have another version. They believe that the witches are responsible, taking the children to perform rituals or feed on their energy. This belief is reinforced by testimonies like that of Doña Angela, who claims to have seen a hooded figure carrying something resembling a child at dawn. I followed her, but she disappeared before I could reach her. That same week, a family lost their youngest son. The Witches of Huichapa have not only marked the daily life of the town, but have also attracted the attention of researchers and curious minds. In 2018, a team of anthropologists visited the place to document the phenomenon. According to their report, the stories of the witches have deep roots in indigenous traditions and the influences of Spanish colonization, which mixed beliefs about spirits and demons with the figures of European witches. However, even the researchers could not ignore the number of consistent testimonies about the lights and the direct encounters. "We don't know what's happening here," said one of the anthropologists, "but it is clear that something deeply affects this community." The phenomenon of the lights has also been captured on video on several occasions. In 2019, a family managed to record a bright spot moving erratically over their ranch before disappearing behind the mountains. The video, which went viral on local networks, was analyzed by experts who ruled out that it was a drone or any known meteorological phenomenon. For the inhabitants of Huichapa, it was just one more confirmation of what they already knew. The witches are still active. Despite efforts to find logical explanations, the inhabitants of Huichapa continue to live under the rules of mystery. Each house has its own way of protecting itself, whether with religious symbols or with practices inherited from their ancestors. Children do not play outside after sunset, and adults avoid talking loudly about witches for fear of attracting their attention. But even with these precautions, fear persists, because in Huichapa, you never know when the next appearance will be. For the younger ones, the stories of the witches are both fascinating and terrifying. Carlos, a student who returned to the town after living in the city, tells his experience. I always thought they were just stories. But one night, I saw a light that moved as if it had a life of its own. I don't know what it was, but from that moment on, I understood why people here respect them so much. The Witches of Huichapa are not just a myth, they are the soul and the mystery that surrounds the town. Among the mountains and the shadows, the line between reality and legend blurs, leaving an echo of unanswered questions. And as long as the lights continue to cross the sky, the enigma will endure, fueling the fascination and fear of generations.